Story number 1. First of all, I just want to apologize to my friend for exposing a good fishing spot. But hey, we're not even into freshwater fishing anymore, right? LOL. This place is very secluded. It's the little dam at Merced River. Most of the time when my friend and I went there to fish, there's no one else but us. No wonder the bluegills there are as big as tilapia. Nobody really goes there to fish, I guess. One early morning I went there to fish alone. During this time, my wife and I still lived in Sonora, California. So the drive from Sonora to this fishing spot is like 30 minutes. When I got there in the early morning, it just felt weird. I kept feeling like someone is watching me, even though I didn't see anyone there but me. After a few catches, I noticed a perfume smell. That kind of followed me around. It was very strange. After about 2 hours, I decided to drive back home. When I got home, I went to take a shower, and after that, I fell asleep on the couch with my head against my wife's left leg. My wife was sitting on the couch and watching TV. My wife is scheduled to work at 2 p.m. that day. So when I woke up from my nap, I looked up, and my wife was still there watching TV. I glanced at the TV, and the movie Final Destination was on. And it was already 2:30 p.m. While still looking at my phone, I said, "Babe, how come you're not going to work yet?" She didn't answer me. I looked up again, and she was gone. I got up and looked around. I went to the bedroom, and she wasn't there. I came back to the living room and went to look at the window to the outside. Her car was gone. I texted my wife if she's at work. After a while, she texted me back and told me that she left while I was still sleeping on the couch. When I told my mom about this, she said something must have followed me home from the fishing place. Not long after that, my friend and his father went fishing there. On their way back, they went to the bathroom by some trees. His father went into the bathroom and saw a lady with dirty blonde hair, wearing an old dirty white dress and just staring at the wall. My friend's father pretended like he didn't see her. He just washed his hands and came back out. I'll still go fishing there, though. There's a reason why the fish there are so big. Story number 2. Back in 2012, I was addicted to fishing, and I would go fishing every day. My mother was constantly worried about me because I often went fishing alone. There were times when my mother would pray to my father to protect me. My dad passed in 2011, by the way. I was struggling financially, and fishing helped me deal with my depression. One day, I was on my way to the little town of Newman. My plan was to go fishing at the bridge where the San Joaquin River meets the Merced River. On my way there, I was feeling very sleepy. 2 Red Bulls didn't help, and I stopped on the side of the road a few times when I felt like I was about to fall asleep behind the wheel. Every time I felt sleepy, I would think of my father and my uncle. My uncle also passed in 2009. Luckily, I got to my fishing spot without any incident. I parked before the bridge, grabbed my fishing gear, and walked down into the river. That area underneath the bridge is very shallow. When I got down to the edge of the river, I walked a little to the right towards the west, and I heard 2 big dogs barking. I looked, and on the other side of the river were 2 big Rottweiler dogs. The 2 dogs were barking aggressively at me, and they looked like they were going to cross the river. I got scared, so I took my pocket knife out and started running. I fell down 2 times. The first time, my right shoe came off, and the second time, my fishing rod got stuck on a bush. I didn't have time to pick up my shoe or my rod, and I just ran back up to my car. I was so scared, my heart was racing and I was vomiting. After I recovered, I drove back home. That event happened on a Thursday. On Saturday, I went to work and saw some newspapers in the activity room. It was a slow day, so I picked up some newspapers to read. In the newspaper, it said that the body of a middle-aged man was found under that bridge on Friday morning. They suspected that someone shot the man on Thursday evening and tossed him over the bridge into the river. They suspected that the body was in the water under the bridge overnight. I was so shocked when I read that. I believe that might have happened after I got scared by the two dogs, and I took off. I told this to my mother once I was able to control my fishing addiction, and my mother said that the two dogs could have been my father and my uncle. Story number 3. I work as security, patrolling a privately owned lake. I can't disclose the lake's name as it's privately owned and operated as a business. This lake hosts tournaments 8 times a year, and the largemouth bass here are exceptionally big because it caters to hobbyists. The lake is owned by a club, and you must pay a monthly or yearly fee to become a member and access the lake for fishing. Nighttime fishing is not allowed as the lake closes at 9 p.m. However, some people are aware of the lake's reputation for big bass, and they sneak in at night for some illicit fishing. Consequently, the club entered into a contract with our security company, and it's our responsibility to patrol the lake at night. I enjoy patrolling the lake because, being a fishing addict, I sometimes engage in my own fishing. One night during my patrol, I encountered a kid, likely around 12 years old. It was around 11 p.m., and he was walking along the side of the lake, holding a fish in one hand. When I saw him, he didn't attempt to run away. I thought he might be alone, but his father or brother could be nearby. I asked the kid to stop, and he complied. However, he didn't turn to face me. Instead, he looked toward the lake, avoiding the light from my vehicle. I questioned him about what he was doing there and who he was with. The boy held the fish up as if offering it to me. I accepted the fish and immediately noticed the tips of his fingers and toes protruding with bones. I told him, "Well, you have a good night." I placed the fish in my golf cart and drove to the small office near the restroom. To be honest, I was frightened. Upon reaching the office and entering, I examined the fish's mouth and found a lure with a hook lodged deep in the fish's throat. I surmised that someone had caught the fish during the day, but couldn't remove the hook. They likely cut the line and released the fish back into the water, where it later died. The boy had then found it. Afterward, I took the fish back outside and placed it by the lake, saying, "If you still want this fish, come and get it. I'm leaving it here." Following that, I returned to the small office. I discussed the incident with the club supervisor, a kind-hearted man who had knowledge of the person who sold the lake to the club. He told me that the seller had a son who went missing in the area. When they found the boy, he had already washed ashore, but his fingers and toes had been consumed by crawdads and small fish in the lake. I was quite shaken by this revelation, but that was the only time I encountered the boy. I continued to patrol the lake at night for about 8 months before moving on to a new job. Story number 4. In 2007, I got into UC Merced. It was really nice since it's located right next to a lake. Since I'm from out of town and also love fishing, it was a dream come true. I did not know anything about this lake at that time. I didn't know that a certain part of the lake was haunted. But I do notice the yearly drownings, and even though the water is clear, the fish in the lake always have a certain smell to them. I don't eat them, but when I caught them, they just smell different. I remember it was around May. I had a final exam at 4 p.m. My plan was to bike there with my backpack and some fishing gear. After I took the final exam, it was already close to 5 p.m. I rode my bike out of the school and to the lake area. That lake always has a lot of people for some reason. I rode my bike all the way to the backside of the lake to avoid people. The place I went to was close to a small building called Rotary Cove. For some reason that place was calm and there were no people. I started fishing there. Since it's calm, I used a topwater frog to avoid getting stuck with the seaweeds. As I was fishing there and the sun was setting, for some strange reason, I got goosebumps. It just didn't feel right. I felt as if someone is watching me. There was an area that kind of cut off from the lake. This area looked like a deep pond. The water was clear, but on the edge was deep. You couldn't even see the bottom, but you could see some tall water plants. I saw what looked like a little boy standing underneath the water surface in the deep and just looking at me. At first I thought it was the reflection of the clouds or something. I purposely tossed my lure into the area where the little boy was standing to see if it would move, but it didn't. So I thought to myself that maybe it's just something underwater that looks like a little boy. I slowly moved and cast towards the right side. I walked through the trees and to the outside at the edge of the lake. I started fishing there, and after a few casts, I did not get a single bite. The water was calm, and it was kind of warm. It was the perfect weather for bass fishing, but I got nothing. Suddenly, I started feeling like someone is watching me again. I've been fishing all my life, and many times I'm on my own, and I've never felt this way. It's like my soul recognized something, and it's trying to tell me that someone is also there. I looked in the deeper water, and again, I saw what looked like a little boy standing under the water and looking at me. At this time, I just knew that it's not the reflection of the water. I'm really seeing something. I just grabbed my things and started walking back. Once I got out of the area of the trees, I saw two men there and they were cleaning up the trash in the building. One of them was looking at me. I know I looked scared, and he was like, "Are you all right? You look like you just saw a ghost. Did you see the little boy?" Right when he said this, I got more scared. I told the two men that I saw what looked like a little boy standing in the water. They told me that it's nothing new. People often see the little boys here around this time of day. That's why no one fishes here alone. It's also a destination for ghost hunters. Then they told me that if I want to meet the little boy's mother, then I should go over to the other side of the lake where there's a lighthouse. They were joking and laughing. I just walked back to my bike and left. I did not know that the lake was haunted. Story number 5. Back in January 2011, one day I took my dog, Mossy, with me to go fishing at Great Valley Grasslands State Park. When we got there, I didn't see any other car or other fishermen like usual. It was a cold, cloudy day. I grabbed my stuffs out of the car and took a hike with my dog to my little secret spot. I chose this spot because of the crucian carp, channel catfish, and bass. I didn't catch anything that day. I was there from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. Right around 4 p.m. I was getting ready to go back home because it's going to get dark soon. The place was also getting cold and a little hazy. For some reason, I'm starting to get a little bite and nibble here and there, but I wasn't able to hook anything. That's prolonging my stay. Every time I've thought about leaving, I would get a little nibble. When I started packing up, I would get a little bite. It's like someone or something wanted me to stay. After several nibbles, I wasn't able to get anything. So I grabbed my bag, strapped it onto my back, and as I squat down to grab my rod, I heard someone called my name from behind me. "Lang!" I turned around to look, but didn't see anyone. It's just tall grass and bushes behind me. I got my stuff and my rods ready. My dog, Mossy, already took off before me, and as I was walking after her, I heard it clearly. Someone called me again from behind the tree and tall bushes, "Lang! Lang!" It's a voice I don't recognize. Mossy started running ahead with her tail behind her legs, and I started running after her. We got to the parking lot so fast and it was already dark. While driving home, I thought I was just hearing things, but I don't know why my dog was running, and scared too. A year after that, a man took his wife and kids there to fish. His kids discovered some bones there in the area. Some of the bones made The parents realized that those were human bones. They reported it and it was in the news. I got chills when I watched it on TV and the family was being interviewed. The San Joaquin River has a dark history. It's a natural river that runs through central California into the Bay Area. Many natives had died and was buried alongside the river a long time ago. That's all for this video. Thank you for making all the way through and supporting my stories. Have a wonderful day or night.